What's up, guys? Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. So let's get into it. So today the Cowboys play the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just wanted to get into some things I'm going to be looking for and what I think is going to happen, in the game. But first, looks like Dak Prescott is going to have season-ending surgery and go on IR. So it's going to be the Trey Lance and Cooper Rush show for pretty much the rest of the season. My view on this is I'm kind of disappointed that the Cowboys gave in and signed Dak Prescott before the season started. I know now it's always hindsight is 2020, but if you would have looked at it and maybe just stuck to CD Lamb and just kept Dak Prescott's number where it was, he goes on to this season, he gets hurt, again. He goes on IR. The team doesn't look like it's going to have too many avenues to get better next year, so you're probably going to have a very similar season in 2025, maybe even a worse one than what you're having here in 2024. So it's just the Cowboys screwed themselves up very badly. They should have let this contract play out, and now you would have had a chance to maybe take a look at a guy like Trey Lance with some actual purpose instead of, even if the Cowboys play Trey Lance and he plays well, they're not going to sign him. They're not going to be able to trade him and get any draft picks. The trade deadline is over. Dak Prescott's locked in. His new deal doesn't even kick in until next year. So he's going to be here, for the foreseeable future. I don't think the Cowboys have an out until the very last year of the deal. But the Cowboys have already added voidable years onto the end of the deal, which means they're expecting to move money around to keep them under the cap or create more room, because that's just how the Cowboys do business. So Dak's going to be here for a while, and that kind of sucks. Not that I dislike Dak. I just think it was time to go for a new direction and let him go choose his team and figure out what kind of team he can be on that'll help him, get to his championship or wherever he wants to go. But now that's over. Now we're going to have to figure out how to build a team with a quarterback having an $89 million hit and a $78 million cap hit for the next 2 years. And if the Cowboys do flip switches in that contract, then that's just going to lead to that money going into the voidable years. Hopefully the cap is much bigger at that time, and maybe that doesn't hurt us so much. So on to today's game. So one of the things I'm looking for is on offense, some of the things that we broke down in the film before the game is looking at the Cowboys short passing game with Cooper Rush in there. Hopefully they're able to get some after the catch like they were with Jake Ferguson when we saw that type of stuff. They didn't get much with CD Lamb after the catch, so maybe they can use some creative ways to get him on the move as well. And definitely with the back out of the backfield, Rico Dowdle had a couple of nice plays that we watched. So I'm looking for that to be, the Cowboys offense. I do think the Eagles also are probably going to be looking for that to be the Cowboys offense. So, we might have to take a deep shot early or two just to get them off us. Even if they're incomplete, just to show their defense, hey, we're willing to do this. And then it may be able to open things up for the rest of the game. The other things on offense I'm looking for is the offensive line actually didn't look really bad against Atlanta in the running game. In the passing game, they still had their struggles, which is why the Cowboys made sure to get the ball out quick. But in the running game, they looked pretty good there. And so I'm looking to see if they can continue that, especially with Carter being on the defensive line and Sweat being on the defensive line for Philly. Those guys will really get after you. So it'll be nice if the Cowboys are able to run the ball and keep that defensive line in check and not just let them tee off on Cooper Rush, because it's going to be a long day if the Cowboys have to drop back 45 times, which I do anticipate, honestly. But if we're saying, hey, what am I looking for to happen? I'm looking for the Cowboys to run the ball well, use the short passing game, use that to control the ball and possess the ball, and hopefully limit Philly's possessions, because that's your path to victory. You can keep the possessions down for both teams, yourself and Philly, but maybe get a stop, lucky stop or two, and maybe you score one or two times, and that could be the difference between, hey, maybe we'll pull out a close, mid-scoring game here. So on defense, I'm looking forward to seeing the return of Micah Parsons and seeing what that has. He's always an awesome player. I haven't talked about him any in the past few weeks, even about him being out and what's that going to do. I basically just mentioned it the first time, but other than that, he's not here. So to me, if you're not playing in the game, there's no reason to break it down. There's no reason to break down why you can't help the team. We know you can't help the team. You're not there. But this week, maybe he can help the team, and then maybe he'll have something on film that we can break down here over the next week or so and see, hey, okay, this is what Micah Parsons brings to the defense, and this is the type of things that he's going to help with. He's always struggled a little bit against Philly, but we'll see if that's different this year. The Cowboys are going to have a hard time stopping Saquon Barkley, so that's the thing that's going to lead to whether or not we get to see Micah Parsons fully unleashed. I don't expect him to have a full snap count this game because he's been out for about 6 games. So you're probably going to see him in obvious passing situations. So maybe, for sure at the 2 minutes at the end of the game or 4 minutes at the end of the game, 2 to 4 minutes at the end of the half. As far as if teams are in a hurry up trying to get the ball off, that's the place you would like to see him in the game. And then if the Cowboys are able to force any third downs, those will also be great places to see Micah Parsons in the game. I don't know how many third downs the Cowboys are going to be able to force. Philly does have a very efficient first down offense. As a matter of fact, they are the most efficient offense on first down, and then they have Saquon Barkley. So if you're figuring that they're consistently putting themselves in second and short, and then the Cowboys have a weakness with stopping the run, Saquon's going to be giving you, he's going to have a heavy dose of Saquon on second down. You're probably going to have a heavy dose of Saquon on first down. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be a run, but they like to run screens. They like to run flares. They like to run that orbit motion and get their guys on the move. We saw all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys' defensive game plan is and having an extra chess piece back with Micah Parsons, what that does to help kind of stabilize that defense a little bit. But like I said, we're going to have to stop the run in order to rush the passer. So until the Cowboys do that, we won't get to see a fully unleashed Micah Parsons anyway. So now on to predictions. I think Cooper Rush will actually have a solid game. I don't expect him to maybe have more than one turnover because he is traditionally he takes care of the ball. He doesn't take chances. He gets it out of his hands quickly. He lets his playmakers make plays. Those are all things that I expect him to continue to do in this game. So while it is a backup quarterback, I actually think Cooper Rush won't be the reason for the Cowboys losing today. I actually think the reason will be what it's been for pretty much the entire season. We can't stop the run. So I think Cooper Rush has a solid day, and therefore I believe CeeDee Lamb will actually also end up with a solid day. Cooper Rush will probably target him, early and often, and the Cowboys will do their best to get one of their few weapons the ball. I do also think that Rico Dowdle will continue to have success, with the caveat that the Dallas Cowboys don't just go against all logic and decide we need to put Ezekiel Elliott in the game. So as long as the Cowboys do what they are, what we see on film, right? We can clearly see that Rico Dowdle is the better player, the more explosive player. He gives your team a better chance to have success play to play. So I think they should continue that and just let Zeke pout. Whatever it is, just screw him, man. But as long as the Cowboys don't go back to, hey, we have to give Zeke the ball because Jerry Jones wants him to have the ball, then I think we're going to see another decent game from Rico Dowdle. Now, with all that being said, let's get to the final scores. I think the Cowboys lose this game, and it's home. So I suspect that they will probably get throttled again, somewhere in the neighborhood of 38-20. I do think that the Eagles probably jump all over the Cowboys pretty early. By halftime, maybe they have about 20 points. Cowboys probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 7, or maybe that's when, he'll get his field goal. So maybe it'll be 20-6 or 20-3. Aubrey will have our only score. But I do think the Eagles jump on the Cowboys very early in the game. I don't think it's close. I do think the Cowboys will put some points up just because they'll be having to play catch up, and they'll be throwing the ball, and they'll end up being able to get some success on this Eagles secondary that's a little bit suspect from time to time. Now, the path to a Cowboys victory, right? Because even though the Cowboys are undermanned, and I don't expect them to win this game, I do think there is a path to victory. I actually think if the Eagles' offensive line struggles because some of the injuries that they've been dealing with, so they're going to be missing a couple of players there. I believe that they're going to be missing Mailata, which is probably not good for them at all. And then the backup to Mailata is also hurt. So, I mean, they are going to have some depth issues on the offensive line. But let's see if the Cowboys can stop the run, because the interior three of the Eagles are healthy. So you're talking about they're missing their left tackle and then their backup left tackle. That's going to be an issue. But if that's, the only issue and they're still able to blow Mozzie Smith off the ball and Linval Joseph off the ball and block the linebackers, then it's not going to matter much anyway. And it's going to look a lot like the Saints game. But if the Cowboys are able to take advantage of some of those injuries there and get inside to stop the run and now force the Eagles to become one-dimensional, and that's where, to me, the Cowboys' strength still is their pass defense, then you might have a chance there, especially with Jalen Hurts. He hasn't turned the ball over in the last few weeks, but he's also not as mobile as he has been, and he does tend to turn the ball over when he plays the Cowboys. So I will say that's the path to victory, is that some of the injuries catch up, and we actually have a good game plan from Mike Zimmer, and all of a sudden now the Cowboys are able to be in the game offensively because their defense isn't toilet paper at this point. So if you get that going, combined with having Cooper Rush playing a clean, mistake-free game and able to move the ball, and like I said, doesn't need to do a lot, but if he can get 23 to 24 points and the Eagles' offensive line struggles, that's your Cowboys' path to victory. However, I don't think that'll happen. But I just want to lay out, hey, if you start to see some of these things happen through the game and we're getting to the third and fourth quarter and it's, Eagles 20, Cowboys 14, and the Cowboys defense is playing, okay, and their offense is not turning the ball over, we might actually have a chance. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's my little pregame breakdown. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you know when I'm coming on. You can follow me on Twitter at JMillerIYL. That's JMiller if you like. You can also hit me up at knockersonthebottom at outlook.com, knockersonthebottom at outlook.com, knockersonthebottom also at gmail.com. Either one, you can leave comments below, anything you want me to cover, any specific information that you have, any questions that you have. I'll take them there. I'll take them email. I'll take them via Twitter. I'll put them into a mailbag, make it a formal segment. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you guys. We're at 24 subscribers, so please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so that we can get up to at least 30. I do have some plans that once we hit a certain number, I'm going to give something away, Cowboys related, but that's for a little bit down the road. But like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys so much. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, J Mill if you like. Peace.